Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. We're in the month of December. We're in Christmas Town. This is Illeagle 86. I'm back after somewhat of an absence, and I'm joined by my good friends Techtic and Nerdbomber. Happy holidays, guys.
Happy holidays.
We have to fully embrace. Yes. Just keep
That's all I got.
We have to fully embrace this because the gap between Thanksgiving and Christmas this year is like a day. It feels like Christmas is basically over as we're recording this.
I feel super behind
obviously.
Somehow too, which is the weirdest
I feel
thing.
extremely behind in like a very negative, bad way.
I feel okay. I feel okay about it. I'm trying to just really like. I think as I get older and older, let's get philosophical. We've been recording for about 30 seconds, so I think as the years go on in my life, I try to cherish the holidays and like all that it brings in terms of watching a bunch of movies and reading a bunch of books and listening to all the Christmas music. I'll get to some of this in my What Are You Up To Wednesday, but like at this point, it's almost like desperation. Like I'm like I only have so long to enjoy this and have it make sense. So I'm going to do that, frantically right now. And, I will say there's a pleasure to that, but also it's a little bit stressful. Like there's
so much to do. There's so little time.
There's so much to do. And like, I think you guys know this. The listeners certainly don't, I don't think. My dear sweet mother, God rest. Well, actually, I was going to say God rest her soul. She's alive. Every year, or maybe not every year, but like most years, she has a tradition where she gets me a book that is related to Christmas. So like I have the original novel for The Miracle on 34th Street, which by the way was initially a novel and not a movie. That's a fun fact. I have, of course, The Christmas Carol, or A Christmas Carol, I should say. The Nutcracker, which is also a book. And I have like all these Christmas books, and every year I get another one, which means the next year I have another one that I have to read with a running clock. And I'm just sweating, man. It's December 2nd as we're recording this. And in that sense, I certainly feel behind. Like gift-wise, I'm good. But like entertainment-wise, I think I'm behind the 8 ball at this point. So let's just all take a deep breath and take the next, hour or so of time to talk about things that are just completely unrelated. With the exception of one thing, which is I want to have a healthy intellectual debate to get the conversation flowing here at the beginning of this episode and at the beginning of Christmas. Okay, so traditional Christmas values. You hang your stockings over the fireplace. You come down the stairs the next morning, or out of your room if you live in a ranch, and Santa has come and has filled the stocking. What candy are you hoping is in the stocking?
Chocolate
What
orange.
is the ultimate? Chocolate orange.
Yeah, this is not my tradition, but I'm fully on board with this one.
Now, can I ask some stupid questions? Is this a safe space?
Yeah.
It's not actually an orange, right? It's just
No.
chocolate.
Have you never had a chocolate
orange flavored? My wife likes the chocolate oranges. I've never really. I've certainly bought them. Never had one. I don't know that I would like it.
You would.
It seems like a weird flavor. It seems like a weird flavor combo to me.
Are you a milk chocolate or dark chocolate guy? Because they got both.
I'm a milk
Doesn't matter
chocolate
your
man.
answer.
I'm a milk chocolate man through and through. I'm a big fan of the Reese's Trees. I'm a big fan of Hershey Kisses. I'm just a commercial whore. All right. Don't give me any of that specialized chocolate. Just give me a good old fashioned Hershey's Kiss, and I'll be a happy man. Chocolate coins was going to be my answer. By the way,
What do you like?
Ew.
Yeah.
Those are dry and chalky.
And the wrapping is always somehow torn, so like the chocolate's touching all sorts of surfaces.
it's the nostalgia for me because I only ever get that specific candy in that specific form factor in a Christmas stocking. So for me, it just evokes joy.
Yeah,
but I certainly understand that opinion.
See, here's the difference. Here's the difference between you and I. My family, we come from a family that went through the Depression, so they got fruit in their stockings. You come from
There's only one difference between you and I?
That's where you come from. So you get the gold coins.
I don't come from Scrooge McDuck's lineage. I don't want to be associated with Scrooge McDuck. I want to dispel that right away. Have I gotten fruit in my stocking? That's a really good question, actually.
I feel like we never did the whole fruit in the stocking thing because we never were like a big stocking family. So then what ended up happening, like if you left fruit in your stocking, That stuff's gonna go bad.
It would just go bad. It would just fruit flies.
Yeah.
That's not very Christmassy.
No, we never had fruit. It was the chocolate orange, but that comes from oranges during the Depression, and then it just evolved into a dessert treat from there. Because oranges in that time were a special treat because they didn't have produce.
See, I would have thought that was like a scurvy thing, like you're on a pirate ship.
No, look it up. Seriously, part of what made the Great Depression is the agriculture was down. So it was really difficult to get produce and things like that. That's why it was a lot of like bread-based things because they could still bake breads.
Let me ask you one more question. Speaking of produce, are you guys a Christmas pickle family? And do you even know what I'm talking about?
No. What?
Have we never talked about
this? Is this something that
before?
your uncle showed you?
Ew, what the?
No.
What the what?
God.
Get
No.
out here.
Okay. So I would
out.
implore. I'm in the mood to educate tonight. I would implore the listeners to just, and believe me, this is safe because I just did it. Make sure your safe search is on, I guess. But just Google Christmas pickle and click the Wikipedia link. It's like 2 links down. This is a real thing. And this is something that I did ever since I was a kid. I do have some German heritage. It's a German-American tradition. So the idea is you get an ornament that is just a pickle. It's just the shape of a pickle. It's not an actual pickle, guys. It's not like a, preserved cucumber. It's a glass pickle.
Oh, tree. On the tree.
On the tree. That's right. So that's right. So you put an ornament on the tree, and when all the chitlins come down on Christmas morning, the first child to find the pickle gets to open the first present. Or there's variations. In some families, the child to find the pickle gets an extra present, or it's just said to have a year of good fortune. How lame is that? But that's the fun. Just consider doing that if you want to make your Christmas morning competitive. Which I'm in one of the most competitive families in the world, so of course we've adopted that tradition. You should just go ahead and look that up. All right, we've been educated. Christmas oranges, Christmas pickles, the Great Depression. We really covered everything. We have a lot more to cover, though. We have actual news topics to get to here. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk today. He's been in the news for a lot of reasons, and we're going to avoid most of those. But he talked about video games, and it's our God-given right as a podcast, and specifically a video game podcast, to address that. So we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about a movie starring Rami Malek, weird little coder guy. You know him from Mr. Robot. He appears to be doing more weird little coding. And as a weird little coder myself, I respect the hell out of that. We're, of course, also going to be talking about Nintendo because they're out to sue more people. That seems like a common refrain for us on the podcast. Seems like all the news we read about Nintendo is that they're tracking down pirates, and they have not stopped. They're doing it again. So we'll get to that as well. But I want to lead off with Elon Musk. You know Elon Musk. He's the Starlink guy. He's the guy who invented the ugliest truck in the history of the world. He's the guy who something robots, SpaceX. You get the idea. He tweeted so as of November 27th. Was that Thanksgiving or was it the day before? It doesn't matter. It was in the past week. He replied to a tweet, and yes, I'm going to call it a tweet. I'm not going to call it an X or whatever he wants me to call it. And I'm quoting here directly. Let me read the initial tweet. It's a person I don't know. Shibitoshi Nakamoto. Billy M2K. I don't know why I'm shouting him out here. I don't understand how game developers and game journalism got so ideologically captured. Gamers have always been trolls, anti-greedy corporations, anti-BS. Gamers have always rejected dumb, manipulative BS and can tell when someone is an outsider poser. Why lean into the BS? And Elon Musk saw that and thought, boy howdy, I'm going to respond to that. Too many game studios that are owned by massive corporations. At XAI is going to start an AI game studio to make games great again. And note, I want to make specific note of the make games great again phraseology there. Here's the thing, Elon. Can I call you Elon? That's a really dumb idea.
But it's dumb for the reason why, with a lot of it's like interview after interview with insert billionaire here. They'll say something and you're like, holy shit, they're gonna get it. They're gonna get it. And then they'll just completely left turn. So the too many game studios are owned by massive corporations. Yeah, that's bad because these massive corporations are churning these artists through. They're laying people off, and they're shutting down games if they don't make a quick buck. Bad. But again, these are artists. These are people. These instill emotions into games, and that's what makes us feel. To have it be AI is so fucking dumb. He was so close to getting it and went.
Well, I would argue that he wasn't close to getting it for one very, very clear reason. And again, he said, too many game studios that are owned by massive corporations. When I think massive corporation, you know who like one of the first people I think of is? It's him, guys. It's the Musk rat. And I'm sorry, you can't act like you're not part of that problem. I just don't think you are afforded that. We on a secret segment on this show, I believe, we read an AI generated script for a television show based on a bunch of podcasters called the Podcast Pals. And if you're lucky enough to be subscribed to our Patreon, you heard it and you know how bad it was. AI, you know, it's come a long way. It's the toast of the town right now. There's absolutely no doubt of that. It's impossible to deny that. It's never going to replace humanity's inclination towards story. There's just no way it's going to do that. I don't think it ever will do that.
I don't know why we want it to do that. Like, I guess this is my big thing with AI is that if we're going to invest in AI, we should be doing it in a way that makes our lives better and frees up more time for humans to create stuff like art and to flex our creative muscles. I don't know why I want a robot telling me what I should be doing to have fun. I want that to be coming from people. I want to, this might be a controversial thing, and I get that the gameplay aspect of games is very important. If the game isn't fun to play, you're not going to have a good time playing. You're not going to get the story. But the story is very important to me in most games that I play. Obviously not a game like Brotato, where I'm just a potato trying to survive. That doesn't count in terms of like, I'm looking for a creative story. But when I'm playing a game like Dragon Age, when I'm playing a game like God of War, I don't think AI can and should be telling me that story. I think that part of what makes stories so impactful is that you're seeing somebody else's perspective and you see, even if it's a fantasy game, their take on the world. And why do I want that from a computer? I don't get it.
Yeah. So what Shibatoshi Nakamoto would tell you is that computers won't be, quote unquote, ideologically captured, which again is just like he uses the phrase BS in this tweet like 16 times. And I'm going to call the ideological capture thing BS. Like, I think it's crazy that there are people like this guy and apparently like Elon Musk who are, I think what they are feeling is that games have gotten progressively worse over the past few years, and it's because of quote unquote ideology. There's a lot of talk in this article. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of it about DEI
but that's what's made video games progressively better. It's just because it's not, the white man action hero, right? Well, that only fits one person. The rest of the world has representation now.
Right. The irony here is that people are speaking up about feeling misrepresented or underrepresented by the games that they are playing when they are in fact getting a taste of that for the first time, right? I mean, look at Dragon Age Veilguard, which you just mentioned, Nerdbomber. This game, from what I have heard, has been pretty darn good. I actually saw someone play it over the past couple of weeks. I finally saw the hair animation, and by the way, that's not the topic of this,
wild,
but
right?
Holy shit, it's insane. That game, I believe, got just review bombed out of the gate because of, for lack of a better term, pronoun stuff, which is patently ridiculous. And we are, I think collectively, and Nerdbomber, I know this is true of you in particular and myself, we are very story-driven gamers, right? So you talk about how AI cannot replicate story beats, story moments, big magical moments in games. I would argue that it goes further than that. And it, not that you weren't making this point too, but like, it's the little things in games, even games that are massively multiplayer, games that aren't super story driven, they still have touches of humanity injected into them in various places that AI cannot replicate. And they have them injected into places that we currently can't even perceive. We wouldn't perceive them until we saw a game that was purely AI generated, and then we would say, wow, this looks weird, this looks uncanny valley, this looks like a computer made it, and it's crap. Like I really think that's what will come out of this. I mean, Elon Musk is free to go off and do this, and he'll probably get 1 billion investors and blah blah blah. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going too far to say I think it's a terrible idea.
Do you know where AI actually has the best value in a company?
I think you're about to tell me. I don't know what you're going to say.
So I was genuinely curious. So I typed into AI, you can be at any position in a company. I want you to have the best return on investment without any of the workforce being laid off. And the AI responded, it goes, I'm a C-suite executive. I'll simply take a pay cut and improve some efficiencies in the workforce. Boom. No one was laid off.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you want to have a conversation earnestly about games having some reduction in quality over the past few years, I'm willing to listen to that, but like at face value, I don't know if I agree. I mean,
I don't think that there really is a reduction in quality. I think that people are just looking in the wrong places. There are so many incredible games that have come out, and people who aren't looking in the indie space or aren't looking in the AA space, which admittedly is very small these days, but like they're just looking for the mass-produced stuff. And I know we were just talking about Dragon Age Veilguard and how that I at least am having a really good time with it, and I think it's great. And God of War, obviously both very like high-scale AAA studio, multi-million-dollar productions, but if that's not your cup of tea, you can find your cup of tea. Go on Steam for like 5 seconds and you'll see thousands upon thousands of games. And yeah, there's some garbage out there. But if you're looking for something really like niche, you can find it. You can find exactly what you're looking for these days. You don't need AI to make it. Somebody is doing it. You're just not looking for it.
Well, and that's, let me pull on that thread a little bit too, because I think you're right. But like, taking that a different way, which is, taking that phrase of you can find it where you want it, like a different way. Just a heads up to the people out there who disagree with Dragon Age Veilguard's treatment of, I guess I will call them social issues. And I've seen this, again, because I saw someone play the game. They showed me the character creator. They explained the game to me in depth. They're very into it. You don't need to, the game is just completely free choice, is how it was described to me. You can start up a relationship with anyone. You can make your character look like absolutely anything. So, like, by the way,
there is a plot line. If you're like so anti a certain plot line, there is a plot line that is there. You don't have to pursue it, but it is there.
Right. But that's exactly my point, is you don't have to pursue it. At this point, if you're complaining about it, you're probably seeking it out, like is kind of my assumption. You can still find the experience that you want. And the best thing about it is that now other people who may be marginalized by society can find that same experience that they want. And apparently that's a bad thing. Like, it's very hard for me to listen to that kind of thing. And I don't, like I was saying before, I don't think that games have even experienced a reduction in quality in the past few years. Like, I think there are other companies, like, this is not the topic here, but Sony put out a 30th anniversary video today. Did you guys happen to see this? I think it was today.
I didn't know.
It was basically a thank you to all the players for like 30 years of great. You should just watch the video because it is so player forward. It is very gratitude driven. Obviously, it's showing off their best stuff, all the stuff we've gotten as gamers over the past 30 years and how great it's been. Like, I can't really imagine watching a video like that and being like, oh man, games have gotten so much worse. Like, that's a hard attitude for me to square up with right now. So,
sounds like someone who doesn't play video games is what it sounds like. I bet you.
Right. It's also, before we move on, because I do want to move on, but this is actually true. I've heard this before. I didn't actually know this. Elon Musk is apparently the number 1 Diablo 4 player in the world. Did you guys see it's in this article? Good for him. He is the CEO of multiple companies, and he's also the number 1 Diablo 4 player in the world. Something there doesn't.
It does. They don't provide
there's
value.
Some math there there's some math there that isn't math and based on the traditional understanding of what CEOs do.
Or maybe
we'll move on.
And this is my hypothesis. Maybe he's just got like some poor schmuck, some intern or something,
locked to the
computer,
locked in a room,
make his stats skyrocket.
That's like a Black Mirror episode. What you're describing? Yeah. We'll move on. XAI is quote unquote going to make games. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, let's move on to something more. I don't know, more cheery. Nintendo suing a bunch of folks. How does that sound? We got news this week, today actually. No, last week. Published Thursday at 4 p.m. I was like eating my Thanksgiving dinner when this news dropped. Anyways, Nintendo has filed to court documents subpoenaing a subreddit. I don't even really know you could do this, but essentially they're continuing cracking down on pirating. There's a Reddit sub called Switch Pirates, which I was not aware of until this moment, or until reading this article. They're subpoenaing information from a vast array of companies, including Reddit, to identify those involved in so-called pirate shops. So it sounds like they're actually wanting, like, Redditors' account information, in particular the moderator of this sub, but also it sounds like potentially other members of the sub who are active on these pirate shops. I will say, here's what I'll say about this, and I'll turn it over to y'all. I want to shout out this Kotaku article because they make every effort at various points. I'm going to read a couple of snippets here. The Japanese company, which made $16 billion in 2021, is making this move as a follow-up, blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing. And then later on, they say, according to the court filing, the manufacturer of the $77 billion lifetime revenue Switch console, and that sentence goes on. And then later on, they say, the company, currently worth $67 billion. I really appreciate that this article is basically like, Nintendo has all the money in the world, and they want to sue these people. It feels like a very deliberate take on the situation. Look, Nintendo can sue these folks. I'm certain that they're going to. I don't really know if starting with a subreddit is where you should start, but I don't know. I've never even thought about pirating a Switch game. I wouldn't even know how to do it. So
I think it's just such a bold move, safe. Cotton. Like, I'm not an advocate of pirating. I'll just put that out there. But if you were going to do that, why would you make a subreddit that's just like, hey, we're going to pirate some Switch games out in the open. Yeah. Here we are. Come get us. Like, bold move, Cotton. You got to love the gumption a little bit. You got to love it.
Yeah, that is a point worth making, is that, especially in the context of the Switch, which, like, man, like, you maybe can get like, a solid... We've proven time and time again on the show, talking about the games that we've played, you can get a super quality Switch game that you can play for hours upon hours upon hours for, like, $2. Like, what are you doing? Why are you pirating that? I don't really understand that at all. That, again, that's just kind of part of it. I want to be
clear. But I am anti-pirating, but like, to your point, there's all these Switch games available, and the only time that I can maybe understand it is if it's like it's this old game from your childhood that you can't get your hands on, and you just found this source somewhere so that you can relive that moment. That makes sense. It's just not accessible anymore. The console's not being sold, etc., etc. But like, I'm with Nintendo on here saying, don't jailbreak our Switch.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, let me be as clear as I can be. Like, I'm not a pirater. I'm against people pirating games, if only because, like, yes, Nintendo loses, but also, like, the developers and the artists who built these games also lose when you do that. So please don't do that. Other companies involved in this, by the way, Discord and Google. Nintendo is asking Google for access to Google Drive and Gmail data, but doesn't specifically state its intentions regarding Discord. So there's a lot. I assume there's a Discord. It may say in this article, there's a Discord server that's associated with the subreddit. I assume, yeah, business records from Cloudflare, GitHub, even. I mean, there's a lot of data that they're trying to scrape, I guess because they failed to do so in Discovery, because the subreddit's moderator, James Archbox Williams, evaded that initial attempt for them to get information from him. It's loser behavior for sure, to again, pirate games, like I don't really know if Nintendo's going to be super successful here, but if anyone could be, it would be Nintendo. They have clearly demonstrated time and time again that they are going to go after people who pirate their content or their games, sell their stuff without legal consent, stuff like that. So if you're thinking about doing that, PSA, just from us here at the Online Warriors podcast, maybe reconsider. because they seem to take this stuff very, very seriously and not without cause. Also, yeah, pirate shops. Why would you call them that? Like, call them something a little under the radar. Unless what are you trying to get caught? It's very confusing. I would assume that this subreddit is now deactivated or locked or whatever. I haven't gone to look because I don't really need to. But yeah, go get them, Nintendo. Go get them. We'll take a short break now before coming back to discuss The Amateur. And looking forward to talking through that. The Amateur. But before doing that, I would be remiss. It's been a few weeks. I would be remiss if I did not shout out our fantastic Patreon producer, Mr. Stephen Keller. I am told that he and the other producers have whipped up a great quiz topic today. No pressure, Nerdbomber, you are the host. But that is one of Stephen's many rights as a producer on this show. He, of course, also gets this weekly shout out. He gets input into the game segment, which I just mentioned. He gets the occasional guest spot on the show, as well as, of course, access to the monthly secret segment and the monthly vlog. So he is a knight. He is at the top of our 3 tiers of Patreon support. There's also a Squire level of support, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog. And there is a page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. So you can head over to patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Check us out there. Say hi to Steven. Say hi to us. Consider giving back to the show. Checking out all the content we have over there. It would help us out a lot. It would help us keep this thing rolling. And it's a great community. So again, that's patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Thanks again to Steven. We'll swap out of here with a word from another podcast, and we'll come back to talk about The Amateur.
Welcome aboard Too Vague Airlines. We're cruising here at 40,000 feet. That might be too many feet, but what do I know? I'm not really an airplane. I'm a podcaster. Actually, I'm a co-podcaster. I'm the co-host of several episodes of the Too Vague podcast. If you haven't heard it, you're missing out. Check out the Too Vague podcast. Any place podcasts do whatever they do.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. For your continued safety, Too Vague Airlines requires that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. But while you're seated, you can tune into the Too Vague podcast, TWOVAGUE, on your favorite podcast services and enjoy the flight.
All right, we are back to talk about The Amateur. Before we talk about this trailer, let's we talk about Rami Malek for a second.
We can.
What a weird looking guy. I say that in the sense of like he has a lot of character in his face that I think it makes him a good actor. I'm giving him a
still
compliment.
Considered hot, by the way.
I don't think I agree with that.
He's part of the Rat Face Guild.
I'm not familiar with that.
That's true.
Not familiar with that guild. I'm guessing they wouldn't want to be called that. He's an interesting little guy, and I also think that's kind of like that's built into the premise of this movie. So we get this trailer for The Amateur coming out, I believe, April 11th of next year. It's a revenge thriller. He is a CIA. Wow. I had a hard time saying that. He's a CIA hacker / coder, it would appear, whose wife is killed in some kind of attack. And he is out for revenge, but he's out for revenge in such a way that I think is very compelling. In the sense that, like, this guy's not Jason Bourne. This guy's not James Bond. The trailer's going out of its way to say that. It's like, he's not good at this, but also watch him do all this stuff. Like, I think that alone is a pretty compelling premise. Add to that the fact that this movie is absolutely loaded with famous people. We got Rami Malek, John Bernthal, Rachel Brosnahan, Julianne Nicholson, Holt McElhenney, Lawrence Fishburne, who I'm a big fan of. Just a lot of great folks in this movie. This is one I will probably watch. I don't know that I'll see it in theaters, but I don't have to see movies in theaters anymore because they come out like 5 minutes after they're released. So, yeah, I would definitely see this.
So have you guys watched Mr. Robot?
Well, you know I have because we've watched it with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have not watched Mr. Robot, so I'm interested to hear the parallels here.
Mr. Robot starts off absolutely fantastic, and then about midway just jumps the friggin' shark, okay? What I loved about this trailer is this is how Mr. Robot should have ended. This is exactly how it should have went. and like they turned what was just like this cool techie sci-fi show into this like loony bin Black Mirror thing, and it just it wasn't fun anymore.
I did hear that show fell off. I heard it was really good to start though.
It was really, really good to start, and then like Techtic said, it jumped the shark.
And I guarantee you, when they made this movie, they were like, "Yep, that was our inspiration."
Yeah, I mean, whenever I see a trailer for a movie like this, and like another example that comes to mind is Snowden. Like, I think it's very interesting seeing actors portraying like he's a cryptographer in this movie, right? And like, I guarantee you that this movie's depiction of what a CIA cryptographer does is probably not even close to what they actually do. Like, I think about that in the context of all these movies of like, the CIA lifestyle is certainly not this, right? And if it was this, they wouldn't want us to see it, right? But he's just a quirky little coder guy. I think he's a perfect cast. I think Lawrence Fishburne, also a perfect cast. I think this is probably going to be pretty good. So, again, don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but I will totally watch it at my house. The Amateur.
That's how
April
I'm feeling
11th,
with like everything lately. I'm gonna just watch it at my house, and I know that's horrible for movies and the industry.
Comfy.
I'm just so comfy.
Well, let me use that opportunity, what you just said. Let me use that to transition to what are you up to Wednesday, because I have what I think is an interesting update related directly to that, which is that I saw in the past week, I saw not one but 2 movies in theaters, which, considering recency and my like how busy I am and like I was on vacation for a week, so I figured I'm just going to do this because there are a couple movies that I want to see. I'll get to the movies themselves in a minute, but I went to the theaters, and I have to say, very positive experience. I was trying to recapture what I would consider, I believe it was pre-COVID glory of like when I had Movie Pass and I would go to the movies on like a Saturday at 11 a.m. like early matinee, no one's there kind of vibes, and seeing a movie for relatively cheap. The theater I went to was great. It was that same kind of crowd. I saw a couple of very good movies. Super, super good experience. Almost has me thinking about getting Movie Pass again, but I know I can't maintain that pace. I don't have the time for it anymore.
You could have gotten that free year. I sent you a code.
The code did not work. I don't know if you remember that, but I did try the code and it didn't work. So I did try it because I wanted the free year. They had a Black Friday sale that was like, I think you got a year for the equivalent of 9 months. And I very much thought about it, but I didn't wind up going through with it. The movies that I saw, though, I want to get to that. I saw a movie called A Real Pain, which is Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. It's a road movie where they go to Europe. Couple interesting things about this movie. Jesse Eisenberg wrote and directed the movie, and of course also starred in it. It was also I learned this later, the first movie to ever shoot at a concentration camp. The movie is about 2 cousins who, after their grandmother dies, they're in a Jewish family. They go to Poland to visit where they're from and also visit the concentration camps and just kind of get in touch with their roots. And of course, they have an interesting relationship in which a lot of things happen over the course of their travels. Very tight 90-minute movie. Definitely just kind of a statement piece for Kieran Culkin, who's like an incredible actor. Interesting movie in the sense that the characters don't experience a lot of growth or change, but there's a lot of great scenes, if that makes sense. So you could do worse watching it again in your house for free or even for a few bucks. It was pretty compelling. I could easily see it winning some Oscars. I don't know for sure that it will, but I am guessing Kieran Culkin will be nominated. The other movie I saw was a movie called Conclave. This is a movie starring Ralph Fiennes and Stanley Tucci, the Tooch, John Lithgow, and really no one else of note. But Isabella Rossellini. What am I talking about? This is a movie about a bunch of the cardinals who have to choose the new pope. So if you grew up Catholic like I did, it's very Catholic coded, and it's a suspense thriller about all these cardinals kind of conniving to try and pick a new pope and make sure that the pope
Do you think it's really that conniving?
Well, no one knows because it's closed door. So it's a conclave is actually the term they use, where they all go into a room. There's no electronics. They go in there for days. This is the white smoke and black smoke thing, if you're familiar with that. Every day, at the end of the day, they put the ballots into a stove and they light it on fire. And if it's black smoke, it means they haven't picked a pope yet. If it's white smoke, they have, I believe is what the color coding is. Super, super interesting movie. That one was about 2 hours. What I will say about it, and I can't really get into too much, obviously, because spoilers, but definitely the most jaw-dropping moment that I have experienced in a movie in terms of a twist. Maybe ever. Definitely in the past 15 years. The only thing I can think of that even comes close is The Sixth Sense, if that gives you a sense of what I'm talking about. So again, you
should watch Blink twice.
Quite a bit worse. I've been meaning to watch Blink twice. I'm hoping that you're about to talk about that, or maybe you did in one of the past 2 episodes.
We did.
That's good to hear, though. So that's my update. I watched a couple of movies, and it was fantastic. I would, and to again kind of fly in the face of the comment you made, Nerdbomber, people should go back to the theaters. It's time. It was a great experience. It wasn't that expensive if you do it right. So I like to think we're coming back around. Maybe we're not. But again, if you don't want to do that, you can, like Conclave, I know, is already out on streaming. So if you are interested in what I had to say about it, you can just go stream it right now, probably. A Real Pain, I'm not sure about. But that's my update. So I'm gonna turn it over to y'all, starting with my good friend Nerdbomber. Take us through the past week in the life.
All right, so first I'm going to touch on a movie that I watched in the comfiness of my own home. So HBO Max, or I guess it's just Max now.
Yeah, show some respect.
Sorry.
Don't say HBO here. It's Max and Max only.
Well, Max and Max only put out an original movie called Sweethearts, which had no advertisement. I don't think. I hadn't seen anything about it. We fired up Max.
I watched the trailer. I watched the trailer for it. It's got Kiernan Shipka in it.
Yeah,
and they're in college. They want to break it. Well, sorry, you talk about it. I'm really excited that you watched this movie. I want to hear what it was like.
Well, we booted up. So we hadn't seen anything about it. Booted up Max. It was like, bam, here's a new comedy movie. And we're like, bam, here we are. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Let's go. And essentially, like you said, the plot was that they're freshmen in college who have stayed with their high school sweethearts, hence the title of the movie, and their best friends who have gone to college elsewhere together, and they decide that their significant others are holding them back from living their best college lives. So they make a pact to go home for Thanksgiving and break up with their significant others. And it was really good. Like, I laughed a lot.
It's this generation's Superbad. It was very, very funny.
I really enjoyed it. I don't think there's been a comedy movie that's scratched this particular itch for me in a very long time, and I really enjoyed it. I would say, especially too, because if you have Max already, it's basically free, so you might as well watch it. And I will say the comedic timing. So it's Kiernan Shipka. I don't know the other main actor's name.
Nico Haraga.
Right. They're funny. Don't get me wrong. But there's a third friend in the cohort.
You talking about Caleb?
Probably.
You're talking about Caleb? Yeah.
He stole the show.
Yeah.
He stole the show, 100%. He's the friend who goes off to Paris to discover himself.
Yeah, Jet Amy. The moment in the trailer. Who's Jet Amy?
Yes.
I was going to mention him because he has a podcast, actually, that my wife listens to, and I've overheard a lot of it. He's extremely funny. He's just he's outside of movies, just a very funny person. So I wanted to shout Caleb Heron. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, in so much as I've heard his podcast. I'm glad to hear it was good. I'm definitely going to watch this movie. So I didn't necessarily need convincing, but love the premise, love the cast. I think it looked funny.
Yeah, it was great. And then we were also on a continued comedy kick. So we watched finally Anyone But You, the Sydney Sweeney and why am I blanking on his name?
Yeah, him.
Glenn Powell name.
Powell.
Not Glenn Powell name. Glenn Powell movie.
This is funny that we watched this.
And so for months, Techtic has been like, I'm not watching this.
No, this movie's bad.
I don't want to watch it. All I know about it is Sydney Sweeney's boobs.
That's all I know about it.
Lo and behold,
that's all you need to know.
No, it is a serviceable rom-com, guys. It is a serviceable rom-com.
It was pretty good.
It was extremely serviceable.
It was aggressively mid, from what I rember.
But it wasn't
I've definitely
bad.
seen worse movies. It wasn't bad.
What I had thought of it was that it was just this hour and a half to 2 hours of just objectifying Sydney Sweeney, and I was against that. I want content. But it was good. It had character development, it had relationships, it was good. I take back everything that I thought about it.
In a time when we're getting inundated with Netflix holiday movies that are horrible, which I'm sorry. So you've got, in terms of your tiers of Christmas cheesy movies, Netflix movies are just not cutting it lately. Like, they had a run where they were really good, but they're leaning into the hallmarkiness of it, but they're not doing it well. I feel like when they were just doing like Christmas comedies and just like regular irreverent comedies, Netflix was hitting on the Christmas stuff, but like their foray into this Hallmark realm, leave it to the experts, man. They're not doing it. They're cringy. So like having this as an option, so good.
Yeah, Netflix came out with a Christmas movie in 2019. I just had to Google it to make sure I remember the name of it. Called Let It Snow. Incidentally, also stars Kiernan Shipka.
That was good.
In this movie. It's an incredible movie. And I agree. So like I watched, I think I watched Love Hard last year, which by the way, terrible name for a Christmas rom-com. It was called Love Hard. And that was like, it was okay. It wasn't that good. Let It Snow was flying under the radar. People probably don't know about it. It's not like showing up on the homepage. It stars Shameik Moore, who I believe was the guy from Into the Spider-Verse, and like Isabella Merced. It has a lot of people on the way up. Jacob Batalon, the guy from the new Spider-Man movies. Like, it has all kinds of people in it. So big fan of that movie. I also want to shout out all three of these movies. So Let It Snow, Anyone But You, and Sweethearts. Best thing about all of them, the longest one is an hour and 43 minutes. Sweethearts, an hour 38. Let It Snow, an hour 33. I won't let this this plot line die for me of just like shorter movies are just good. Especially when it comes to rom-coms. They're just good. Just make them, just get me in and out in an hour 40. And I don't even care what you do. That's as long as it should ever be.
Good to know.
So, any other, sorry, I feel like I talked a lot during your update. You talked about rom-coms and that just really gets me. It really gets me.
Gets the juices going for you.
Yeah. Any other updates?
I mean, other than that, there's some shows that we watched. I'll let Techtic cover that if he wants to. But yeah, that was the main stuff. Just, consuming content. Took a little bit of a break from Dragon Age for a little bit, just because, it's the holiday season, trying to be a little bit more present. And you're going to be like, how is watching a movie very present? But it's just like, it is. You're watching a movie with somebody. You're not like in your own little bubble. So, I don't know. It's good stuff.
Techtic, speak on those shows. How about that?
All right, so I want to talk about one show and then one other thing completely. We have started watching League of Legends Arcane. And this show, I mean, if you like a good, like, action, heartache, etc., this show just does not miss. Even the soundtrack is fantastic. I recommend this show wholeheartedly to anyone who's interested in listening to what I have to say.
I will say, too, the nice thing about this is it's also, like, we're on episode 8 of 9 for the second season. Like, the first season came out, I think, 3 years ago. Second season finally dropped. And it is a 2-season, intentionally 2-season, like, not canceled, 2-season wrapped-up story. So when we finish the final episode, which is our next episode, we will have concluded the series, which I don't know how we're going to wrap it up, but, like, there's so many loose ends, I feel like, with one episode left. But it is conclusive. It's not going to end on a cliffhanger, hopefully, because they're not planning on having another season. I think there's going to be offshoots in the Arcane universe, but this series, this story will be conclusively finished. And I will say, like, it is really, really well done.
Yeah, I've heard it's very good. I haven't watched any of it myself, but I've had people before now tell me that I must get in on the ground floor. Although it sounds like it's no longer getting on the ground floor if it's about to end or it already ended.
And you don't need to have like played League of Legends or know anything about it, because neither of us have, and it's still very good. Like, you don't need to have the backstory to appreciate the show.
So yeah, absolutely check it out. And then the other thing is the weather's getting cooler, and so one of the best things to do is play board games. So we played Hardback, and I gotta say, this is one of those games that just keeps coming back in the rotation. It's absolutely phenomenal. It gets the old noggin juices flowing. And it's just easy to pick up. You can, if you're not a big board game person or a new board game is daunting, this is really easy for anyone to quick learn how to play and enjoy it. And so absolutely check out that game if you've never heard of it.
Yeah, I have played Hardback once or twice. I am definitely a fan of it. Very good. I think that brings us to our final stop on this podcast journey, which is, of course, Quiztown. Presuming that you guys did not do a 2-person quiz in my absence, which I don't even know how you would do that. I can provide an update on the records, which is I'm currently 13-9, Nerdbomber 14-10, Techtic 9-18. I do think we are at the point, Techtic, where I can definitively say it's over. It's Jover.
Start thinking of my thing.
We'll start thinking of your thing. I'm squaring off against you today, so you're in it for pride at this point. But hey, I'm a sportsman, so I wish you best of luck.
But I can't do my thing until you do your thing.
Okay, that's a deal. Steven, 2-1, by the way.
Actually, this is
neglected to mention that.
This is the time, man. This is the time when you need to be getting into your task.
I'm not gonna lie. I said I thought about it. I haven't done it, but I did think about it.
We're gonna hold you. We're gonna take you to task.
Yeah, for those new to the show, I lost last year and was the decree was that I would watch Hawkeye on Disney Plus. I think part of why I'm so reticent is that I believe in a previous year I lost and had to watch Book of Boba Fett, and it was like the worst experience of my life. So that's why I'm so scared.
Contrary, I mean, A, you just got to do it. You lost fair and square. But B, this is actually a good show.
Yeah, I bring that up because I wanted another opportunity to say how bad the Book of Boba Fett was. But in any case, Nerdbomber, you are hosting today. What is our topic today?
Ostriches.
Ah, yes. That old chestnut.
Okay, so this is your standard.
Over to you.
I didn't know if you had more to say about ostriches, so I was giving you some space, but...
I rarely have much of anything to say about ostriches, believe it or not. I think I'm about to have some stuff to say about them.
Well, as per usual, this is Price is Right style, so you have to get as close to the numerical answer without going over as you can. Whoever gets closest without busting gets the point. There's 5 questions and potentially a tiebreaker as needed. I actually wrote up tiebreakers in advance because I always get screwed and don't have that prepared.
Like the amount of calories in an ostrich egg?
Proud of you.
I wish I had thought of that question, but no, that is not one of them. And you each get 1 lifeline. So you either get to +1 the other person or use the number 1. And realistically, I feel like no one ever does that. Everybody just uses the +1. But hey, say la vie. Because you're winning, Illeagle, you will go first to give Techtic a little bit of an advantage here. And we will start with the first question. What is the average incubation time of an ostrich egg?
When you said say la vie before, I thought you said say love you, and I almost said love you. I'm super suggestible.
I mean, you can tell us you love us. It's fine.
Yeah, well, you told me to. Okay, what is the question? What's the question? Average incubation time of an ostrich egg.
Yes.
I have no idea what the average incubation time of an ostrich egg is. These things are large, so I would think it's a pretty long time. But I also don't know what the incubation time for like a regular egg is. I'm just going to go ahead and say 6 weeks. That just feels like the right number for me. 6 weeks.
How many days is that? Do the math for me. My brain's tired.
42 days.
That's a really good guess. I was going to say on the 1 month time frame, but like there's not a huge window there. So it's like not in my best interest. I should use my +1 early.
That is a mistake. He hit it right on the head. 42 days.
Are you?
Look, man, these things happen. Look, this is how I win. I'm just the Adam Sandler meme. This is how I win. I somehow know the exact incubation time of ostrich eggs. I didn't. I promise you I'm not Googling. I just had I felt it in my bones.
He Googled ostrich.
So
wait, was that the mean, median, or mode?
Average. All right,
it was the mode. She went with the mode.
I'm sticking to the egg train here. How many chicken eggs does 1 ostrich egg weigh?
What an abstract question.
I found that stat and I loved it. So here we are.
I have my guess. I'm curious to see what Techtic says though.
Yeah, Techtic, you're first. He is currently forming little eggs with his hands. I don't know how that helps him at all, but they may have different densities. But he's doing some
17.
It's not that many. It's not that many. Well, actually, I just pictured a carton of eggs and it completely shifted my worldview. I'm going to say 18. I'm going to use my +1 early as well.
To great effect, 1 ostrich egg weighs about the same as 24 chicken eggs. So currently, Illeagle is in the lead here. But Techtic, don't fret. You still have time.
He seems like he's fretting. And I think not without cause. But there's 3 questions left, and now our +1s are all gone. It's just straight up now.
Okay, so ostriches have the largest eyes of any bird.
How big are their eggs?
What is their average eye diameter in millimeters? Because
Techtic's getting combative now. He's getting combative. He's not happy with how this is going. So millimeters, the average eye size. They have big eyes. So you said big, so it's got to be a lot.
In millimeters?
In millimeters. We're joining the rest of the world.
Can you convert it to inches? My phone is dead.
In millimeters.
Do you need a ruler? I can hand you a ruler.
Yeah, with millimeters on it.
It's a lot. It's a lot, guys. It's a tight 40 millimeters. 40 millimeters.
Which is 4 centimeters. 100 millimeters.
Is that your answer? 100 millimeters into the microphone?
80 millimeters.
80 millimeters? Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
All right, and Illeagle takes this one too, and he takes the game. Their eyes are 50 millimeters on average.
That's not even a big eye.
For a bird, it is.
You said 50?
I said 40, and she said 50.
How do you know so much about ostriches? Your answers are very close.
I think it's more so that I know about millimeters. I feel like I know what a millimeter is. I'm not sure that you know what a millimeter is after all that.
1 millimeter is 1/10 of a centimeter.
That's
We're learning
right.
our units, guys.
That's right.
Would we like to finish out this quiz topic, though?
Yeah. Two
more questions?
I got to try for the clean sweep here.
We could just end early.
All right. Well, according to the 2012 Census of Agriculture, how many ostrich farms were in the United States in 2012?
There's 37 ostrich farms.
It's way more than that. This is one of those weird things. I'm going to say 100 conservatively.
There are, drumroll please, 258 ostrich farms as of 2012.
Why?
So
People are
Illeagle
weird.
is one step
People are
closer.
weird, man.
Are they eating the ostriches?
They're eating the eggs.
Is it for the eggs or the ostriches?
I don't know.
They want to keep them as pets. You guys see this weird... Did you see this weird documentary about the people that have monkeys as pets? Because you should watch that. I don't remember what it's called. There's a good recommendation for the listeners. I'll have to look up what it's called. I'll put it in the... I'll tweet about it or something. Anyways, let's wrap this up.
All right. What is the average top speed that the mature ostrich can reach?
Finally, one I actually know.
In miles per hour.
In Neil Patrick Harris's...
Imagine I was like, I want this in kilometers.
I have to get another ruler.
I have no idea, I will say, and I know I said that for the last 4 questions. It's fast, though. They're speedy boys. I don't think we're in 60 territory because that's cheetahs, and I don't think they're that fast, but it's a good 45. I'm going to give them 45 miles per hour.
32.
Illeagle was very close, but you didn't get the sweep. 43 miles per hour, so Techtic does get one. However, they can sprint sometimes 60 miles per hour, but their average top speed is 43. Like, you have to be a really speedy ostrich. So that's not the average
Wait, what did you
ostrich.
guess?
Right.
45.
I guess 45.
But he initially said something in the 60s, and I was giving him some credit, validating him, because there are some ostriches that can hit those speeds, but not the average. Not the average ostrich.
Well, look, I'll take the win.
You didn't give me credit when I talked about the eggs.
No.
The silence was deafening there. Well, I moved to 14-9, Techtic to 9-19, and Nerdbomber stands pat at 14-10. So next week I will host the quiz between Nerdbomber and Techtic. Yeah, no further details. I don't know what the topic is yet. We need the producers to pick. We thank you all for joining us here on the Online Warriors podcast. I am going to shout out our Twitter handles, although I'm just going to throw this out there. I am pretty much off Twitter.
We are actually on Blue Sky, my friend.
I need to set up a Blue Sky. So does the main show have a Blue Sky account?
The main show does indeed have a Blue Sky. It is at onlinewarriors.bsky.social.
Right on. And yes, before the listeners say something, I should know that, but I didn't. I do not yet have a Blue Sky. I don't know if you guys have host Blue Skies yet.
We do. I'm at ownerdbomber.bsky.social. So kind of you to ask.
And Techtic does have one or doesn't have one?
He does.
I'm just Techtic at bsky.social.
All right, yeah. I'm gonna set up a bsky.social because Twitter is over for us. So look for us over there. Let us know what you thought of the show, any of the topics that we mentioned. Give us a follow, etc. You can also leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and just have a nice, relaxing holiday season. Consider trying a chocolate orange. Consider trying a chocolate coin, because I feel like that's a lost art at this point. Consider just enjoying the holidays however you want to, and stay safe. Keep on podcasting. We'll see you next week.